Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. This is Jade Robertson checking in on another Wildfire live stream. This is a late stream. It is 12:01 a.m. on a Monday night here in Canada where we have celebrated Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Nick, my cohort, my brother. We're going right on in. Welcome, Nick, to the show.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Hello, sir. How are you?
In the other, it looks like you have a flower crown. If you lean forward a little bit, you're right out of midsummer. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was glorious. It was glorious.
It was a glorious day of food and beverage and levity.
Speaking of beverage, I have here a feature. Going to feature the beers on the show going forward. This is a Unibrow Blonde de Chamblay Saison beer. And I think, do you have a drink?
I don't.
Do you want to go grab a Pepsi or something? Do you want to have something? I mean,
yes. Talk in the meantime. I'll be right back.
So very excited to be welcoming Mr. Jason E. Kelley to the Wildfire live stream tonight. We'll read his bio in a bit, but just a little backstory on how we got Jason to come onto the show and how we got to know him. When it was working at Rolling Pictures, we have this really cool welcome board with all of the show reels of the different companies that were repped at Rolling Pictures, and I'd always one of the biggest parts of my job. I mean, it sounds like a little thing, but it's a big thing. Is putting people's names on a welcome board, and one of the people that one day, Jason, he had the name on the welcome board, and he did some like nice Instagram sort of selfie social media promo, which I was like, you should do it. It's awesome. Just keep it going. And so he did it, and he's good vibes. So happy to be welcoming him onto the show sooner than later. I mean, it's just you and I right now, Nick, but I would expect him to probably show up at some point soon and have a little discussion with us.
For sure.
You know what?
I'm very excited. We this is our latest stream yet.
This is our latest, yeah.
But
technically, I think the latest might have been Hong Kong for Adam.
Right.
Jackson's here. Should we invite Jackson to the late stream?
A message just came through from Jason.
Oh.
It was to Wildfire. It said he was set up on his iPad. Hopefully it works.
It should work.
It should work. So as soon as he comes in,
bring him in.
Basically anything but a computer should work.
Well, Jackson, I'm glad you're tuning in to witness this live stream tonight.
Hey, Jackson.
I'm
happy to have you.
I'm based out of Mississauga right now at my king. Oh, strawberries.
Yeah. Delicious.
If we had a guitar ability to sing tonight, I think it would have been awesome to do a pretty epic song for Jason.
True.
I mean, we'll have to ask him what his music tastes and stuff are, so that next time we have him on the Wildfire live stream, we have a song ready for him.
He's entered.
I think. Do you have his bio ready? Did you want to kind of?
I have yes. Yeah. So we're gonna tell you a little story, a late night story about a man named Jason. Okay, you have a second, Jason. No worries. We're just going to introduce you here. In 2003, Jason sat in his corporate sales cubicle, glanced at a cube mate 15 years his senior. The guy was successful, but miserable, and stuck doing a job he had to do, not one he wanted to do. Realizing if he didn't radically change the trajectory of his life, in a few years, Jason would be the guy wondering, why am I doing this? And what if? So he jettisoned a six-figure income, sold his condo, Mercedes, and drove to LA. An ember of creativity burned inside him. He was bent on adding fuel to it, driven on guts, cojones, and a passion for growth. And what he's accomplished in the 17 years since, it's nothing short of remarkable. And Jason currently stars as Colt Vaughn in the PS5 game Deathloop and recurs in Mayor of Kingstown on Paramount Plus November 14th. We'll be sure to ask him about both of those and more. But we're very excited and honored to have Jason on the show, that he has taken the time to talk to us. And yeah, anything else to add, Jade, before?
No, I mean that just about covers it. And I just want to say, like, to everybody who tunes in tonight, and from Canada, from the United States, like, this is awesome. Just like I just want to celebrate the fact that our next two guests are coming out of LA, so it's just like we're definitely trying to extend our reach and touch film community over. And who knows? Like, maybe we'll be interviewing somebody in South Korea the next day, or somebody in Australia the next day, or somebody like so. I'm optimistic of
we're global.
And yeah, and also just our sort of interviewing brand as a whole. I think Jason is like, he really pushes the positive vibes with that kind of stuff, and online forming online audiences and the support here. So I think the support for these live streams is awesome. So
absolutely,
I just want to celebrate.
I also just want to say I love that bio and how it was written, almost like a story. I was reading a story, but yeah.
And I'm thankful to Jason for taking the time. That's what I want to say even before. So let's bring the man in and welcome Mr. Jason E. Kelley to the Wildfire Live. Oh.
Hello.
What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
Perfect. I've been scrambling around, putting my son to bed and getting my iPad set up properly for this. So cheers.
Cheers, gentlemen.
A beer, a bourbon, and some Pepsi.
Not too bad.
Not a bad mix. If you threw it all together, it'd be a hell of a good drink.
I think we'd call it a Jason E. Kelley.
The Jason E. Kelley. I love that. I'm trying to figure out how do I lower the comments in this thing. I don't know if I can or not.
One of these. I think it's just one of these.
Is it?
It's kind of like just green.
It's all good. It's just covering my face. I don't need to see that. I know what I look like. Hey, guys.
Oh, you look great. You look great. If anybody wants to use the question in this Instagram app to ask us questions, feel free. But welcome, Jason. How are you?
My man, Jade. How you doing, brother?
Good. I'm good. This is my my cohort, my partner in crime, my creative consult, Nicholas Jansen, in the house.
My man, Nick. How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you? Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well, man. Nice to meet you guys as well.
Sure.
Jade and I pretty much greeted Jade the exact same way when he opened up the elevator at the studio earlier this summer when I was coming in to record some stuff. And I immediately went, I know who this dude is. Some good energy right here. So thanks for having me on your guys' show.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure. So we've been in the last week and a half, 2 weeks since we've had the show coming up, we've kind of nerded out a bit on your work and are excited to talk about it. I guess first things first, though. What are you working on now? What's going on right now?
What I'm working on right now is the next audition. I'm doing a lot of press right now for Deathloop that just dropped a couple weeks ago, and we're almost done with that cycle. And we're just out auditioning right now. There's a lot of good things happening, but you know the process, you know the cycle. You got to go out there, put yourself out there, and eventually you book something. So that's the main thing I'm working on in that respect. And then myself and my writing partner, Marshall Givens, are actively working on a suite of animation projects that we both have that we've written over the last few years, and getting some character design work done for them, putting together pitch decks for them so that we can get out here and start creating some content, because he and I are both, we're parents and we're ready to go. And it's just time. We're at this point where you can't just be getting jobs from the industry. You got to bring jobs to the industry. And when you do that, you have a better shot and a better chance of having long-term type of success that at least that I'm seeking. So that's what I'm working on right now.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on transitioning to being a little bit behind as much as you are in front or in a booth or in the performance mode versus the maker mode.
Yeah.
How's COVID impacted? I'll get Nick actually to ask a question. Sorry, Nick.
Go ahead. No, that's you
take this one. Okay. How has COVID impacted your work, and have you seen? I know just because I've worked in a studio where voice acting is been not hit as hard with COVID. I'm just curious how it's impacted your work, and I guess just the ups and downs of what you've experienced.
Oh, well, beyond a shadow of doubt. I mean, COVID pretty much wiped out the TV and film industry for the better part of a year, 10 months or so. I immediately knew that, and at that time I was starting to develop a good amount of momentum going into that. I had just booked the national commercial for Avis. I had just recurred for the second time on Grownish as Chloe and Haley's dad, who ironically I went to high school and ran track with their mom in real life. So
no way.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. At least it's cool for me. They're kind of like, okay, that's great. But they're superstars and they're great. But I just recurred for the second time on that. And I was going into the beginning of the year with a lot of momentum. Anytime you can start with, a residual paying job like a commercial and a recur on a show, that's a good start. And then the wheels fell off. Everything hit the brakes. And I was already doing voiceover. I'd already kind of ramped up with my agency and had booked Deathloop. We were in the very beginning stages of recording for Deathloop. And the second that happened, we have a second bedroom with a closet. That used to be my office. It's now our son's room. I heavy leaned in, like spent some money, upgraded all the soundproofing, got better equipment, and really went to work on VO because VO really only took about a 1 month break. Mm-hmm. And anybody that had Source Connect, anybody that had a pro quality booth was getting work. And I had enough of a sound that I was able to succeed. I did Doom Eternal. I did Doom Slayer in that booth. It's buck wild. And I auditioned for a bunch of other things. I did an entire full video game that hasn't been released yet and hasn't been announced from that same booth. And as that year kind of progressed, that's really what I focused on. Then towards the end of the year of 2020, things kind of loosened up. I also took it as a break. I took it as a time off from the grind of auditioning. And I chose to kind of spend time with my wife and my friends and just allow the time to be what it was, which was a little bit of a break. Then I booked this Twizzler spot in December of 2020, which ran like wildfire, still running like wildfire, I think. And here's the Twizzler. Here's the red candy-coated, candy-flavored candy. I don't want to say wax, but it's good. I love it.
That's the spot.
So to sum it up, Twizzler book. I booked Twizzler. We're knee-deep into Deathloop. And then the beginning of the year, we got pregnant in the summer of 2020. Beginning of the year, our son was born. And as soon as he was born, I just started getting series regular after series regular after series regular after series regular, audition after audition after audition, just back to back to back to back to back. One of the roles from Mayor of Kingstown comes in the day we're driving to the hospital, and I'm like, this is an incredible part. I am not going to submit for this because I'm getting ready to go have a baby, so it's backburnered. A month later, the role that I book comes in, and I was like, babe, I don't have a lot of time to prepare for all this, so let's just set up the camera and just do it. And we did it. A lot of self-tapes right outside this door with a professional backdrop and some professional lighting, and my wife reading off of me, and I booked the job. And ever since then, it's just been one thing after another, video games. COVID actually helped clear a path because there were a lot of people that weren't ready for voiceover, pro voiceover people that didn't have pro booths. Yeah. Somewhere in 2020, late 2020, September, I believe, I had started browsing for the booth that I'm in now, found it, bought it, had it installed in October, November. The second that happened, booking more and more. I cannot tell you the number of jobs that I've booked from this space. And each time I upgrade to get better equipment, I book another job. They say, a baby brings with it a basket of bread. My kid brought bakery. He brought clients. He brought recipes. He brought seasonings. He brought, spices. He brought everything. And I know a lot of people took a hit. It's been the best year of my career. absolute best year of my career. But I made a decision early on, come out of this cycle and experience better and more than you went into it with. So I didn't, some people crumbled. I fortified. I started reading more, I started digging in more, and it just made me better. And now we're in a space where I know a lot of people that are not vaccinated in my category. And, you know, I am. And job opportunities are coming that may not necessarily have come to me before. I might have gotten overlooked, but because I'm ready to go and I'm ready to work, I'm getting opportunities. I'm taking advantage of it. So that's a long way of saying COVID was a blessing. The COVID is not a blessing. I chose to look at the impact of the shutdown as a blessing and allow it to be something that became fruitful for me. It's a pruning time for everybody.
Yep.
How you choose to go through it and come out of it is totally up to you. And I was cool with whatever happened. Like, if I get it and I don't make it, okay.
Yeah.
If I get it and I recover, okay. I'm going to make sure that Jason Kelley comes out of this thing guns blazing, ready to go, feet to the ground. And that's where I'm at.
For sure.
So
over to you, Nick.
I guess taking it, let's take a little trip back in time here. In your bio, you describe the moment you kind of changed the trajectory of your life. You moved to LA, you take the leap. I just want to know, I guess before that, what was your relationship like with acting and performance before you decided? Was there a history there, or what made you decide to do that?
It could be said that there's a history, but there wasn't one. I mean, the Nutcracker in third grade doesn't really count. I took a drama class in seventh grade and I had fun, but it wasn't on my radar. In college, I'm in a black fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And black fraternities and black sororities, we do step shows, percussive beats and sounds and rhythms that we make in syncopation with one another on stage and perform. And I used to love the process of rehearsing for that and taking simple ideas and creating a 15-minute show and performing for an audience. We used to travel all over the East Coast, went down to Tuskegee, where one of our graduate kind of advisors went to school, and got to step in front of 5,000 people, which blew my mind. And I always loved that feeling of being live in front of an audience and performing. From there, after college, I didn't have a formalized training. My parents weren't artists. My dad was military. My mom was a nurse. The arts they weren't on the radar. I grew up loving the arts, The Wiz and Wizard of Oz and Annie and numerous musicals that I'd seen either at the Kennedy Center or read about or heard about in New York at the time. When Cats came out, I was like, oh, this music's amazing. I'd seen plenty of plays, but I never saw myself in it, is what I'm getting to.
Right.
And in college, after college, I joined a choir at my parents' church, and through happenstance, I ended up directing the choir, conducting the choir, and I found out that I had a gift for it, a very, very strong gift for it. I don't know where it came from, but we grew from 9 voices to 45 voices inside of a year once I started conducting full time. And again, it was this connected feeling to lifting people up and making them feel something. In these 2 instances, it was musical. I love music. I actually originally was planning to come to LA and be involved in the music world, but that was right when everything was falling apart and changing. And so I switched gears. But I never had a thought of I'm going to be an actor until I actually started pursuing it as a means of making a living, as a means of just earning some money. I needed to make money. I got to LA. Pause. Cut me off where you need to cut me off and ask me a different question, because the origin story can be all over the place, but it's a very specific path that I think is very fortuitous that got me to where I am today. And I still sometimes pinch myself and go, how did I just make a decision to do this and it unfold for me the way it's unfolded?
Take me through, like, literally, like, the day you made the decision.
Okay, so I'm in LA already. I was in corporate America in sales. It was 2002 or three. I had taken my second severance package, and I looked at one of the guys that I worked with, and I was like, "Oh, this dude is a great guy. He is friggin' miserable. Like he's just miserable. And it's not that he's unhappy providing for his family, but because he had a family and responsibilities, he was stuck going down a road that he didn't want to travel. He just had to provide." And I went, "Oh my God, what am I doing? I only got into sales temporarily to make some money and figure out what my next move was."
Right.
So I called my manager and said, "Yo, can I get one of those severance packages?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Sign me up, sign you up." It was a healthy chunk of money. And I sat back and went, what am I going to do with my life? Like, what am I going to do? I was in my late 20s, early 30s. And I went, you know what? I've always loved music. I've always had this vision of myself as a Clive Davis type producer. I'm going to go into the music business. I worked for a small record label in DC. Didn't work out, but I got to see things up close and in person. I got to go inside some TV studios and see how they do live TV. And I went, ooh, live. Ooh, this is cool. And I finally made a decision, long story short, I made a decision to go to LA versus New York or Atlanta. New York was a tough town. I love New York, but I also was tired of blizzards. Atlanta, I just get in trouble in Atlanta. I would get in trouble in Atlanta. And so I went to LA. My best friend from 8th grade, his roommate had just moved out, and I moved in with him.
Nice.
He was Cuba Gooding Jr.'s stunt double in Jerry Maguire.
Okay.
So he already had inroads into the entertainment world as stunt guy.
Yeah.
I got out here, and everything that I was going to do fell apart with this artist I was going to produce. And I had a woman, a pro golfer's ex-wife. She was going to front me $2 million to start a label.
Holy moly.
I found out things weren't going to really work out with me and this artist, and I got really pissed off. I was like, wow, you're not willing to do the work that I'm setting you up to do. That's a problem. And so I said, all right, well, I can't do this. Keep your money. I got to figure out what I'm going to do. Hey, buddy, can you get me some work doing background? He's like, yeah, sure, no problem. You sure you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, I just need to get in the union. I need to figure it out from there. Mm-hmm. And I did background on Numbers the very first day, the pilot of Numbers. And then 2 days later, I stood in for Alimi Ballard, who's black gentleman on the show, who I've been friends with ever since.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
Then from there, I bounced around. You do backgrounds of different reality and different world. And I went, okay. At first I went, oh, I could do this for a minute, $150 an hour, sit around, shoot, eat food, hang out, talk to people. I can do this. Man, about a week later, I went, no, I cannot. This is some crazy. It's just a different reality, right? This wasn't what I wanted, right? I always had bigger, more grandiose visions for my life. And so that grandiose vision has always been the thing kind of nudging me forward. I stopped doing background and went, well, maybe I can do stand-in work. Because if I can get close enough to the process, I can learn the process. I can learn what it takes to be an actor. I can learn. Because I was just curious about learning. I stood in for Alimi. Then I stood in for a couple other people on the NCIS's, the Worlds, and JAG, and all of those shows. And then I got an opportunity to stand in on Gridiron Gang.
Oh, nice.
I stood in it for Exhibit.
Okay.
And the first day of practice, I was told, don't speak unless you're spoken to and all this stuff, and the director of this. And I'm sitting there going, what kind of bullshit nonsense is that? Speaking, I'm not a slave. I'm here to help.
Right.
Meet Dwayne for the first time. I was like, that's The Rock. Okay. All right. And I'll get to it. There's a scene in the movie on a football field where one of the players gets shot. And I watched all these guys, just all this emotion came up, and it became very real for the moment. It was actually Omari Hardwick that did the shooting from Power. And I just remember going, wow, what just happened? This is amazing. I want to do that.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. Fast forward to one of the last days of production. The director goes, JK, you want to be a cop for me in a scene with Dwayne, with the big guy? I went, yeah, absolutely. Mind you, I have no training. I don't know what I'm doing. I probably shouldn't have been there.
Right.
I get in the scene, shake his hand, do my thing, pat him on the shoulder. His arm is like the size of my head. And I walk off, and I have this impulse to say something, to improvise something. They didn't give me any lines. I turn around, and my throat closes. Everything just chokes. And I'm mortified because there's 100 people on the set. And nothing comes out but gibberish and weird noises. And I turn and I walk away, and I'm like, right?
Yeah.
To the director and all that. And everybody kind of looks at me. And I got out of the scene. I'm done. I'm done for the day. And I just kept on going, what was that feeling? Most people would go, dude, you just choked in front of the rock. Right? I went, what the hell was that feeling? Because it felt great. I just didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
I'm on a phone call with my new acting coach. And she says, Jason, that was the impulse to express and create in the moment. The reason why you choked is because you didn't know what to do with it because you don't have any training. Get your butt in my class. I can't teach you that, but I can teach you what to do with it the next time it comes around. And that was like summer of 2005.
Okay.
And I have been all in ever since. And one thing literally led to another. That moment led to her class. That class led to me doing improv. Improv led to me doing commercials. Commercials led me to doing more classes and more studying and to doing plays. And one step after another, it just gradually became this, oh, I'm all in and I'm invested. And I've gone so far that I got to keep going. I got to find out how this story ends. I got to find out, because when I say I was abysmal at this craft, in every facet of it, I was abysmal my very first time out the gate.
Right.
And now I'm recurring on Mayor of Kingstown, and I just voiced one of the biggest video games of the year.
Fucking go.
If that doesn't tell people that if you just are diligent and are willing to do the work, and you can go there and you can make it, I don't know what else does.
I'll let Nick take this one.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
But
But
might be good to just like breathe on that for a second and just like take a breath in, because you did break down every step, every moment, in sort of transition points. So just gonna breathe that in for a second.
they call it the artist's way for a reason.
Right.
Right.
Getting into some of your influences and inspirations in the craft, I guess, either actors you grew up watching or people you observed early on in your career, some of the names that have stuck out and had an impact on you.
That's easy as hell. Morgan, I think the first thought that crossed my mind when I saw this movie was, ooh, I want to be that powerful. That's Morgan Freeman and Michael Beach in Lean On Me and Robert Guillaume. That movie made a huge impact on me when I was young. What's ironic is Michael Beach became one of my acting coaches. And then he was also one of my main scene partners in Mayor of Kingstown.
Oh, wow.
So to be able to have gone from the 80s when he was a young guy to seeing him the first time, flip a table over on Morgan Freeman and cuss him out, I was like, oh, because Morgan Freeman was easy reader for me from Electric Company. I'm dating myself. But, Mr. Freeman has always had an indelible mark on me, just because in the 70s, he was one of the first strong Black characters I ever saw on TV, playing powerful roles. Robert Guillaume was another one. James Earl Jones, obviously from Star Wars, but I got to see, Great White Hope and a couple of the movies that he was in back when I was younger. And these were men that had these potent voices. And that always was the thing that drew me in. And then as my career began to move forward. Obviously, Will Smith's energy and the way he operates and the way he moves in this world and how he sees himself and believes in himself always was inspiring to me, because most people look at him as, oh, Will Smith today, but they were not checking for Will Smith after Fresh Prince of Bel-Air at all. Independence Day was not billed as his movie.
Right.
That was Jeff Goldblum and Bill Pullman's movie, and the special effects. And they weren't thinking about this dude. And here he comes with his charm and his swag. And I went, oh, you can be yourself. Like, you can bring who you are to a role and win people over. Denzel's obviously somebody, Robert De Niro, like these are greats that I've always liked. I recall Leonardo DiCaprio when he was young. I have these memories of of actors that are, you know, within my peer group now, but when they first got started, I was inspired by Cuba Gooding Jr. because the very first time I saw him was sitting in the barber chair and Coming to America. And then you fast forward and you see his career become what it became. Today, some of my favorites, probably my favorite actor right now. My favorite two are Don Cheadle and Bryan Cranston.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never had a chance to see Bryan Cranston work live, the next time he's in Broadway, go. Go. What he does, I'm just studying him now. I've put blocks on everybody else, and I just study him. I just pay attention to what he does.
Do you read his autobiography?
I haven't gotten to it yet.
I read it. It's good.
Is it good? Yeah. So that dude's way of working is so intense and quiet. I saw him in Network. I've seen him in LBJ and I've seen him in Network on Broadway. Network was an experience in and of itself.
Right.
The thing that I picked up on with Cranston is he has a way of intensifying his thought to such a degree when the camera's on him that's all that comes through.
Right.
In Network, he's live on stage, and then they got camera screens. They got TV screens in the background, huge projection screens in the background for when they go to play out the newscast. And I'm sitting there watching him on stage, and then I'm glancing up and seeing what he's doing on screen, and what he's doing on stage seems about that big. And you look up on screen and it's magnified. It just blows you out and fills the space. Right. And then when they go cut in the newscast, all of that energy he sucks back out, and then he projects it out of his body, and he's fully animated. And I went, okay, Brother Cranston, I see what you're doing. I don't know how to do it, but I see what you're doing.
Another sort of special mention is a Forrest Whitaker as well to the list that you've had.
Absolutely.
Just as somebody who just has something unique. His voice is unique, and obviously his look is so unique too, and what he is moment to moment. It's crazy. Absolutely. That's crazy.
Yeah. I think I'm drawn at this point. I was always told throughout my entire journey that they've always said something to me about my voice, but I've never really known how to master it. Still don't know if I've mastered it or not. I would love to get an opportunity to sit down and talk with Mr. Freeman about how to develop and master your voice. Because Fishburne, Freeman, Samuel L. These are voices of generations. And there's honestly not one in my generation. And I have it on my wall. Be the vocal voice of your acting generation. Right. Whatever that pans out to be, there's some signature about my thing is a personal goal of mine. Will it ever happen? Have no idea. But I like having that dangling out there because I'm always pursuing. And it just keeps me moving forward.
No, I think one of the Nick, you had a really great question about just the whole just the discipline and everything that it takes. So
I just want to know, like, at what stage did you notice this about your voice and start pursuing more voice acting? And I guess the difference between the discipline of voice acting and you know, the physical acting, like on camera acting, and how you've kind of navigated that.
I've always seen myself first and foremost as an actor. Once I finally accepted that I was an actor and that this is what I was, mind you, that was 10 years into the journey. and I was on stage already working and making money also doing commercials. It took me a long time to accept that I was an actor because I didn't have a lot of respect for the change that I'd gone through to get to where I was. And I had so much respect for the people that were doing it, the people that had trained since I didn't feel like I deserved to call myself an actor. There's people that went to Juilliard, spent $100,000, or Carnegie Mellon, that spent $100,000 to become actors, to be actors. They're actors. I woke up one day and went, I needed to make money, and I can do it this way. Let me do the work to get there. I didn't feel like I deserved it. Once I owned myself as an actor, I started working on my voice and paying attention to it a little bit more after one of my improv coaches, Dave Rosowski, a phenomenal improv coach, said, JK, you should really focus in on voice acting at some point in your journey. You have something underneath that. You should peel back the layers and find out what it is. So I did. And I've been on that journey ever since. And then my main acting coach, Richard Side, who's my current mentor and acting coach, he also reinforced, he said, Jason, you have an incredible instrument. If you learn how to master your voice along with your instrument, you're going to have an incredible experience. And the way we got to that was he taught us through a method of his own. He taught us how to do Shakespeare. And it was about a 6-week process where you basically get to a point where you're thinking in terms of the character. And so the dialogue comes out. You don't memorize anything, but the dialogue comes forth. And all of a sudden I was in this scene, and everything kind of dropped away, and it was just me and my buddy in the scene, and it was alive. And we were doing this moment in Caesar. It was an out-of-body experience because the resonance that was coming through with this material finally matched everything up. Mm-hmm. And when we got done, I looked out at the students. They were my fellow students, and they were going, "Holy shit, JK!" I was like, "What?" They're like, "That was amazing." And Richard was like, "You have a vocal instrument that's perfectly tuned for classical material."
That's awesome. That's a great compliment. My goodness.
And so ever since then, I lean into it, win where I can.
Okay. Okay. So I got a natural segue here into a little inside the Wildfire Acting Studio session that we used to run all the time, and we haven't done it in a while. So I think we're gonna do it tonight with you, Jason. If you're down for a little bit more of a quick rapid fire.
Okay. I suck at these, but yeah, let's give it a whirl.
Kind of like a feud. What is your favorite word?
Shit.
What is your least favorite word?
Yogurt.
What turns you off creatively?
Egos.
And what turns you on creatively?
Ensemble work.
What is a sound or noise that you love?
My wife's laugh.
What's the sound or noise you hate?
Mosquitoes.
Yeah. Got a lot of those in Canada. What is your favorite curse word?
Shit.
What profession, I mean, this is kind of one, I mean, you've already gone through this point in your life, but what profession rather than your own would you like to attempt saying as a different than an actor or voice actor or performer?
I
don't want to distract you from your hustle.
No. I think I would be a dope lawyer.
Okay.
I'd be a dope attorney.
Okay. If heaven exists, what would you want to hear at the pearly gates?
Hey, you made it.
This guy. I really like where we sort of left off on that last story. That's the end of the rapid fire questions. Thank you for answering those.
Yeah, thanks.
Glad we brought that bit back. kind of, yeah, just like getting that compliment from your acting coach in that moment, getting that sort of that positive feedback off of, everything you're working towards and everything you're putting out there. Just kind of curious about what your take is just on, yeah, I mean, it's kind of question. I'm just kind of like throwing it together here, but kind of just positive momentum, positive support, and just the role that kind of like passing on that energy plays in your life, but also in collaborating with others, other creatives, working with directors, and being receptive and just like what's the, I guess the added, it's an attitude, but it's a way of life. I don't know. I'm just kind of curious about your thoughts.
No, well, look, improv is the foundation of everything that I do.
Yes, and
I am a Second City graduate, and I was effing terrible when I first started. I walked onto my first scene and went, "Stop talking. I have something to say." That's how bad I was. And now I'm really good at it. And because I put forth the effort and I cared, I just wanted to be great at something. I'd quit everything I was any good at. I quit, or I got injured and it got removed from my life.
Right.
Improv gave me room to fail. Improv gave me room to explore. It gave me room to dismantle my ego, dismantle a lot of the pain that I had from my childhood years. It gave me a free stage and a free space with a group of people to create out of nothing, something. And I loved that experience. It is the foundation of everything I do. Even with scripted material. When you find a way into your creative self through whatever vehicle it may be, you have a responsibility to master the work. Because what else are we here for? You're not here, your gifts aren't for you. Your gifts are meant to be given. Improv gave me something, an outlet to finally give my gift in a way that was as pure as it possibly could be. There's no payment for improv. There are no standing ovations in improv. What you do in that moment lives in that moment, and then it's gone. And to be on stage in an ensemble and support one another, I felt alive really for the first time as an adult. Mm-hmm. And even though I had, I'm not actively in the community anymore, and I'm not actively doing it as much as I used to, having that moment at that time to just drop into the space between you and the gods of creativity and play. It's the purest time of my creative life, and I use it to this day for scripts. I use it for dialogue, for behavior patterns in scripted material. I use improv constantly. For me, and it can transcend. There's people that are okay at improv, or they're just trying to be the funniest guy or girl on the stage or whatever. But then there are people who transcend it. And there's a different degree of proficiency that comes with it, where you work way less harder than most other people. And you pick up small little nuggets because you're moving slowly. And by moving slowly, you don't miss anything. That's kind of where I've been in my creative path now. Slow down. Find these little nuggets that you can pick up, and what is that? Explore it. Let it take you into the moment, in the scene, even if it's scripted, even if Jeremy Renner's sitting across from you at a coffee table in the scene. What's that little spot on that coffee cup? And then respond to him. It's rich. Something's happening. Real life's happening. So that's kind of the thing that drives me the most, is never forgetting that all of life really is just an improv. There's no script. There's no script. My favorite type of improv is improvisation, where the boundaries are established, where we tell you what box you're in. You don't have to go searching for it and figuring it out and meander through it in the scene. You come in and you go, doctor, lawyer, elevator, 4th floor, and you're stuck. Well, now you know everything. Yeah. And now you play in that. And it's some of the most beautiful work you'll ever see when you give really good actors boundaries to live in. And you know, in life, the boundaries that we bring are who we are, what our background is, what our perceptions of the world are, how we process information, how we react. But it's still just an improv. Still making it up as you go. And I don't know, that's the thing that's the most beautiful. That's the beauty for me about the merging of, you know, creativity and craft and reality is that yes and moments where you could say no or you could say yes and what comes from that magic.
Beautiful answer. Love that. Loved every
fantastic improv as well.
Thanks, brother.
Touching on some of these, we mentioned a little bit some of these recent projects you've been working on, namely Deathloop, and I'm curious about you know, crafting the character of Colt and just what that process was like for you, and just a little bit more about the game and what that was all like for you.
It was amazing. I mean, Colt's a very unique character. He's lethal. He's goofy. He's super sarcastic. He's petty. He has no problem being petty. There he is. I wish I had his hairline. And what's crazy is I know a couple guys and I know a couple actors that look just like him that are friends of mine. But I was really, you know, Colt was created in the minds of Arcane Studios, Dinka Bakaba, and the entire team at Arcane. And they invited me to come voice him after an audition. And so we were creating him as we went. I had no idea what the scale of the game was, the scale of the project. I just knew that there was this character that was living in this world where he's in a loop and he's an assassin, and there's another assassin in there trying to kill him to keep the loop going. And he was trying to kill 8 visionaries to break the loop and get to his freedom. Cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers to
Cheers to Deathloop. Ironically, in 17 years, aside from work that I've done on stage, this is the first lead role that I've ever been in where I've been paid to do the job and bring a character to life. And mind you, all you have is my voice. I don't have a camera in front of me. That's the camera. I don't have no makeup, no hair, no costume. It's all coming through that mic. I learned so much about this character and so much about who he was and who he wasn't by the dialogue that they gave me. And times where the dialogue didn't match who he was, the dialogue did not match who he became. There are certain places where we actually rewound, went back and re-recorded some of that stuff. Finding the authenticity of a character's voice first and not caring about its aesthetic was very freeing. Because, you know, you see me and you get what you get. Reasonably decent, handsome, decent looking guy who has a very big forehead and a beard of different lengths on every given day. That's like the most I can do with it. You know, can't grow hair. It's the first time I got to create a character. And I got to do it all with my voice. And the way that has impacted my work now, when I'm looking at a script and I'm breaking down a character, I'm not looking at the lines as much as what is he going to say next. I'm looking at the lines to inform me, who is this person? And so I now start creating, even on camera, I'm creating from that place first. It's enriched me, but it's enriched my craft. It was a lot of fun doing creating Colt, playing with Ozioma Akaga. God, she's so good. You know, there's people in your life, there's people that come into your creative career that make you better. She made me 1,000,000 times better. Bennett Smith was a phenomenal narrative director that kept us honest, kept me honest, because there's certain things Colt would say, wouldn't say. And ways that he would and would not say it. I have a tendency to drop my ERs on things. He was like, no, it's not. It's you gotta stick to the ER. You gotta stick to the hard R because that's who Colt is. I loved playing a character whose greatest hurdle was not overcoming his ethnicity. It was amazing. Never deal with you very rarely get to deal with that in the on-camera world, but in this world of Deathloop, it never got brought up. I just got to be a guy trying to overcome this effed up situation and gain his freedom through meticulously killing 8 people in one day.
Sounds like it's a lot of fun. It sounds like a great premise.
Yeah, it's a super dope game. I haven't played it yet. I haven't played it yet. I'm working on getting a PS5. And hold on, my phone's making noises. But yeah, that's Deathloop. It's Colt's a great guy. I hope that because of the success of the game, and hopefully when it releases on Xbox, it's even more successful. I hope that it becomes a franchise. I'd love to play him again.
Sweet. Well, we don't have too much left here for you, Jason, but we wanted to sort of kind of segue to, I guess, a differing, topic to touch on than the work. But it's kind of the thing, and sometimes is the foreground, sometimes it's the background, but sometimes it's always there, and that is the work-life balance. How it sort of pertains to you and your life, because I know you have a family, and it must take a certain amount of sacrifice on both sides, the work and the life, sometimes to make sure that you're supported, but also that you're going after things. So I'm just curious about what that's been like for you over the past 17 years since transitioning into this career, and also what you found to be some successful. I'm a young guy that I'm curious just too, because I'm getting into unions, IATSE striking, like all of these things about the way that the industry has worked in the past versus how it's changing in the future too. So I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are. Loaded.
Yeah, no, it's a loaded question. So if I get tangential, which I might,
feel free.
Pull me back in, because this is important. Like, this probably is some of the most important stuff, because it's the type of question that I get asked a lot, because I have a modicum of success and people want to know, how do you get started? How do you do this? 17 years ago, the industry was completely different. Period. The stuff that I did then to get to where I am today doesn't work. It just doesn't. It doesn't even exist anymore. Work-life balance. When I first got to LA, I was in my 30s. I was balancing, I had to decide whether I wanted to be this buff, super ripped, 225 muscle-bound guy, or whether I wanted to fit myself into a different category, the friend-dad category. So I stopped lifting to fit myself into a category. I had to decide whether or not I wanted to keep on chasing, excuse my language, but chasing ass, or if I wanted to become an actor, a craftsman. And, it's funny, when I first got to LA, I was in the club all the time for the first 2 years. Stayed in the club, chasing. I'd grab a beer and a tequila, and I'd be in the cut, trying to holler. And after I got into improv became a way of life for me. I'd walk by spots that I used to stand in line to get into, and I'd be like, on my way to an improv set, and I'd be like, what the hell was I doing over there? Like, who is that guy? I have no idea. When you're single, it's all about your career. It's all about what you're doing. It's all about your training, your growth, saying yes to every opportunity that comes, because you just simply don't know. You simply don't know. So your job is to say yes and just keep going. Be selfish when you're single. The only time I wasn't selfish was when I'd come home and see family. But other than that, for up until 2012, 13, it was all about my career for a decade and some change. Then I met my wife, the woman that became my wife. And when we were dating, I was still 90% career and 10% her and us. And then it became 80% career and about 20% us. And then we went through the process of getting married. What I realized was I need to pump the brakes on craft and live this life that was being presented to me. And I was in the middle of a playwright festival and 3 or 4 different projects and audition. I was in the middle of all of it. And I went, you know what, guys, let me pump my brakes on all this and go get married. Right. And there was about a 2-year window from 2015 to 2017 where I really didn't work that much. I didn't. I wasn't booking anything, but it's because my heart was somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, I was in class, but I was like, yeah, I'm not really going to work on this scene. I don't care as much. I care about this newfound love that I've got, this thing that matters.
Yeah.
Now, having a son, an 8-month-old, and a family, responsibilities, and bills, and like futures that I'm thinking about, my approach to the craft is very, very different. My focus is higher. When I'm in and I'm getting it done and I'm ready to go and I'm making choices and let's go, let's get this done.
Right.
So I want to get done and I want to go home and hang out with my family. It's now 80% family and 20% career.
Mm-hmm.
My muscle is at a point where it's autopilot. I give it the work. I put in the work, but I put in 100% on that 20%.
Right.
And that 20% pays me back. And if you saw how much I made this year in the middle of a pandemic, giving birth to a son, moving to Toronto for 3 months, leaving my wife here to take care of our 3 or 4-month-old son by herself while she's interviewing for a new job, you'd be like, dang, how'd you do it? Well, like I said, your focus changes, right? But to balance this, I left and I was gone for 3 months. While I was there, I had an opportunity to audition for an incredible role in an incredible film that was shooting almost exclusively in Budapest opposite Tyrese. And I know that if I had thrown my hat into the ring, there's a very good chance I could have gotten it.
Mm.
And my wife was like, Jay, I need a break.
Yeah.
Like, you get back and then you turn right around and have to go do another 3 months over there. I need a break. And I went, all right, this job's not for me. I'm not doing that. So now, instead of making choices just for myself, I'm making choices for my family. Not thrilled about doing things for scale. I'm always asking for more.
Yeah.
Even with video games, I probably won't be asking for. I probably won't accept scale to do another video game,
right?
Because Deathloop came out and I put everything I've got into it, and then I was available for. I have a fly in here. I made myself available to do all kinds of press for it and help sell the game and sell the title because it's my title. It's me. It's my work.
Yeah.
So moving forward, that's going to have to be a different balance. That's going to have to be a different change because anytime I'm taking forward my craft is time away from my family. Now, my wife is a rock star, so she can handle it all.
Shout out
to my wife.
Yeah.
And my suggestion to anybody and everybody in the craft that's pursuing, find you a mate that gets what you do and supports it fully. But when you're not doing that, support them fully.
Amen to that.
So I get home after being there. I was like, yeah, you sleep. I got him every night, all night. Don't worry about it because I'm your support system now. So it has to be a trade-off. It has to be a balance because what we do is so consumptive. You have to put everything you got into it. Like when you're in, everything else has to disappear and it has to be the job. It has to be the work. It has to be. You're putting everything you are into it and you're going to be responsible for everything that shows up on screen when your face is on it. And I've been in scenarios where I didn't understand that before and it didn't look good. And I went, yeah, no, that ain't gonna be me again. You're gonna have me up there on screen looking foolish. No. Mm-mm. So to that respect, that's my work-life balance now. It's family first, career second. Interesting that career supports family, but that's still my balance. I will say yes to certain jobs, and I'll say no to stuff that I just don't want to do because I just don't want to be doing that, versus watching my son crawl for the first time, which he just did today.
Nice.
It's amazing. I was like, oh my God, batten down the hatches, plug up the outlets. Jesus, he's moving.
Yeah.
Give me the second part of your question.
Mostly just like support, like positive support for collaboration, and just passing on that energy. And you can finish on this. We're kind of like we're yeah, man.
We're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love ensemble work. I don't have a lot of patience for ego. You know, I've said before, there's 100 people on set, all to make you look good.
Yep.
Bring your A game. Leave the ego at the door. It's a collaborative effort. We're just trying to tell a story. It's make believe at the end of the day. I know that there's a lot of money riding on all of it, and I know that there's jobs in people's, mortgages and private school and college. All of that hangs on the success of a project. I fully understand the support system value of the dollar as it relates to a project and being a lead of a thing. I understand that completely. But it's still make believe. You do it to the best of your ability. You do it as professional as you possibly can. You give everything you've got to it, and you leave something up to the creative gods that are to make magic happen for you when you've done the best you can. If you work that way, you're always going to be successful. You work any other way and try to stay overly controlling, it's going to fail to some extent. You got to leave room for the creative forces. You got to leave room for creator to come into your craft and ignite it with something special.
Right. That's well said.
That's my, 2 cents.
Well, Jason, thank you for being so candid and well-spoken in your answers, and following us down this path that we're kind of weaved for you here. I guess we want to give you the floor to tell us what's on the horizon, what's next, anything you got coming up. And just thanks for coming on the show.
Hold on. There's so many people. I'm just now looking down in the feed. There's so many people from my high school and friends from high school that are on here. This is bananas. I'm sorry. I'm just looking and just seeing the folks that I'm seeing. I'm going, man, I haven't talked to some of these people in ages. Mayor of Kingstown fans, what's up? Let me field anything in here. Hey, JK, will you be planning to working with future gaming studios if the opportunity happens again? Absolutely. My nephew's on here. Chocolate Bear 72. What up, fam? I'll see you at Thanksgiving. Squilky, one of my homies from high school. What's up, girl? People from my acting classes. Okay, so what do I got working on? My next thing is an audition. I'm actually taking meetings right now for theatrical agents, because stuff changes sometimes. I'm trying to think of what really the thing that I'm most excited about. I can always audition, and there's always going to be some job that's going to be given to you that you're going to go, hey, this is my new job. Getting into the creative seat, eventually directing. I've got 3 titles right now that I'm working on with my writing partner, and then I have that are all series, animated series. And then there's 1 animated short film that I am going to direct and create with some of my earnings from my Twizzler and Mayor of Kingstown money. You have to reinvest into yourself.
Fuck yeah.
And I could take time to go to film school, but I'm going to go ahead and finance my film school with a project. And this is the story that came to me in an inspirational moment over a decade ago, where the whole story just vomited out of me. And I wrote it down. When I'm giving you creative people pearls right now, it came out of me in a waterfall of information. I took the time to write it down in a rough draft and leave it alone for a decade. Then I went back to it and started shaping it. And then I handed it to a friend recently last year and said, what do you think of this? And this is a sister who I just appreciate her. She's a family friend of my tribe. And she said, you know what you need to do, JK, is you need to animate this. Because I was going to do it as a live action. I went, oh, snap. And she gave me the style in which to do it in. And I went, oh, God. And it's a heavy subject matter, but it's a love story, but it's rooted in something that folks may find offensive in some way, but I don't care. This story came to me from spirit. And so it's my job to follow that and bring it to life. And so really this month I'm getting ready to get started on production with that, with a with an outsourced house, with an animation house that I've found that I'll outsource to, and we're gonna go ahead and get it done because I can't draw, save my life, but I can tell great stories and have phenomenal ideas. Because people say that a lot, and we all believe that our ideas are phenomenal. My idea is phenomenal because I know the difference between an idea that came to me from an inspired place where it was being channeled through me, and then me trying to come up with something. All the stuff that I come up with sucks. But when I get out of the way and just let that flow move through me, it's an improv, man. And that's how I know it's pure, and that's how I know it's going to touch people and affect people in a special way whenever it comes to fruition. So I'm just wanting to be, my goal really is to just be a bigger and bigger channel for my creator and that voice that's my highest self that's saying, hey, say this, do this, walk this path, and have an impact. I firmly believe, and then I'll shut up. I firmly believe that the answer to any creative person's challenges is to go do it yourself and stop looking for somebody to do it for you or to offer you something. Your job as a creator is to create. Go do it. And now that I've created the most incredible creation I could possibly create, which is my kid, like, it doesn't get any higher than that.
No.
I'm now like, oh, okay. Now I can go play around and make these things that I'm going to put out in front of people on the screen and hopefully move them. But for anybody that has something to say, anybody that has a voice, anybody that has some form of expression that needs to come out of them and it's coming from their soul, whatever and wherever you are, pick up whatever that medium is and just do it. Stop worrying about hitting home runs. Stop worrying about deals, and who cares? Go create the thing and share it with people. See what comes of it.
Anything you got, Jason, we'll share it our way. Share it our way, and we'll share it as far as our way goes as well. And just wanted to say, I really appreciate your professionalism and your candor, like Nick said, and just being just a wonderful guest on this Wildfire live stream, man. You've been wonderful, and I wish you and your family all the best, man, and your career all the best, and just keep rolling with these good vibes, because they're infectious and they're effective, and you're making some good vibes just over there. You're making fires, and we're picking them up, and we're enjoying them, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you, Nick and Jade. I really appreciate you, Jade. I'm grateful that we met in the way we met. Yep. It was absolutely fortuitous. You were always a class act whenever I came up into the studio, and I appreciate the time that you've given me, the platform you shared with me. You guys have shared me with your show. I know I talk a lot. I have a lot to say.
You want to hear?
We like that.
I'm kind of a philosopher, artist, and I think about a lot of this. And, I feel like everybody's journey is different. My journey started in such a raw, unfeasible way, and it manifested that I kind of just want to share it with as many people as possible, because I want people to know that they can do it. They can do it. You can freaking do it. I have made over $1 million as an actor in my career, and I don't have formal university training. I said I want to do this, and I did the work to do it. It didn't happen overnight. but I did. And I'm just getting started. My life and my career are just starting. I don't have any memoirs to share. I don't have any memoirs to talk about. I'm fucking getting started at this point in my life. I cannot wait to see what the next 20 years give. I can't wait.
I can't wait for the next 2 months. Let's go.
Let's get this done.
All right, man. Well, have a wonderful night. Well, it's Canadian Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to y'all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Indigenous Peoples Day here for us.
Oh, well, yeah, for Indigenous people too. Like, I mean, painful fucking shit. I don't know. It's not really happy, but it is, yes, Indigenous Day. So
right, it's Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah, so definitely respect and acknowledgement and attempts at understanding for sure.
Yeah, because Columbus didn't discover shit.
No.
All right. Have a wonderful night, and thank you everybody for tuning in. And stay well out there. And leave it.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you do the same.
Thanks everybody for being in the chat. By the way, it was a great turnout. We weren't sure. It's 1 a.m. here on the East Coast, so we're glad that your audience came in and supported. So thanks a lot, everybody.
Yeah, you guys, thanks for staying up. Sorry I was talking so long, but y'all know it'd be like that sometimes.
That was wonderful.
All right, guys, we'll see you.
Thanks, man. See you.
Bye.